Hello, YouTube. Let's do some, reasonably priced, aged, funky Jamaican rums. How about that? All right, so these are two I've been meaning to review for a while, and I'm just now getting around to it. This in particular, the Plantation Xaymaca. I had been holding off on, meant to review this for a long time. I've been holding off because Plantation has last summer, announced a name change. So I figured, I would just hold off on reviewing this until they put the new name on it, and then, I would get around to it. It's taken them a long time to, announce anything about what the new name is going to be. It should be Rumparison, by the way. Just name it Rumparison. Just lean into the French connection thing. Anyways, so, I'm getting impatient. I just bought a bottle, and we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about it in terms of, in comparison to its, one of its obvious points of competition, the old standard Appleton Estate signature blend. No age statement, 40%. This has been going into, rums and cokes since probably before it was formerly known as the Appleton VX. It's the same stuff. They just wanted to make the name more impressive, I guess. And now I can't remember it anymore. I always just think of it as the less expensive Appleton. Okay, so it's a Jamaica head-to-head here. This is about $20. This was 26 where I am, but figure 24, 26, 28. Most of the places in the U.S. Now, there is, however, a difference between these two. First of all, they are both aged, obviously. Similar colors. I do think the Appleton is getting a little bit of colorant, and I expect the Plantation is too. But never mind, we're not paying a whole lot of money for these, so that's okay. Let's see, the big difference between these two is this is a blended rum, right? So we're blending, multiple column distillate off a big industrial still with pot distillate, traditional heavy Jamaican pot still rum. This is all pot still rum, which made it really interesting when it came on the market a couple of years ago. And Plantation, the Ferrand folks have been pushing that aspect of it. They've been, really focusing on, no, this is a big, funky hogo bomb of a rum. We shall see about that. So anyways, I felt like these were two fun monsters to go against each other. I will comment a little bit on the Plantation name change in a little bit. Oh, the other thing to mention about this before I get into it is this is one of the few plantations up until you get into the upper ranges, the big extreme bottlings, special bottlings, single barrels, that kind of thing, that does not have any dosage in it. There is no added sugar in this. And in fact, they clearly state on the back in tiny, tiny print, which you would need your steampunk magnifying glass to read. I'm not even sure that that's going to focus. Anyways, 0 grams per liter of dosage, no sugar added. Hooray! So that's why I grabbed this one. I am not a fan of the dosed plantations, but I did rather, like as strong. I was appreciative of their overproof, the OFTD that I reviewed last year. So let's go through. Well, first let me add a little bit of water to these, just to get them to open up. 2, 1, 2, 4, 40%, 43%. So this is going to take less water. Okay, let's go. Both of these bottled around 2020, I would think. Appleton Estate signature on the nose. It smells like Caribbean rum, surprisingly. I'm not missing Caribbean rum if I'm getting this on blind tasting. So you're getting a little bit of banana peel more so than banana fruit, just like you're smelling the peel. There's a kind of RC cola aspect to this, sort of generic cola soda. But it's also a little bit floral. There's some so you're getting like a bunch of wildflowers on this. A little fresh rubber too. So I have a pencil here. If I were to sort of chew on this eraser, a little bit of that, and a little bit of oliviness, like a black olive in there somewhere. Comes across as quite young. I would doubt it has spent more than. I could see a lot of this having spent less than a year in cask. Honestly, I expect some portion of it has been in cask longer, but not much longer. So we're getting cane syrup. We're getting that cola note. Cane syrup, rock candy, definitely. You know, if you know your Ray and Nephew Overproof, you can see the resemblance to this. Maybe it's strange. There's a pineapple note, but it's really a green pineapple note, like an underripe pineapple. A little bit of wood spice in there. I imagine the wood they're using is pretty fresh. So throwing some younger rum into some fairly active wood for a short period of time. So wood spice. It's not a bad nose. There's lots of things going on that should. I don't think the calm distillate is hindering this too much. It's not helping, but it's not getting in the way. And the funkier aromatics from the pot distillate are adding in some nice color to this. The strength is really what's hindering it. If this was bottled at 43%, or if we were to be blessed with a cask strength bottling of this, I would pay $40 for that. I'm just saying, I would pay $40 for that. I think this would be a much more aromatically interesting nose. Still not bad, but just not killing it, on the palate. Okay. Very front forward in my mouth. Everything at the front that's happening is at the front of my mouth. This is very young, but it does have a nice long finish. It's kind of hanging in there with its kind of funky, fruity, pineapple-y thing. Yeah, that's not bad. That's pretty solid, actually. Okay, so we're getting that banana peel note again. Banana candy too. How the banana candies have a slightly different kind of banana characteristic than normal banana. That's kind of coming into play here. Cola again, but more like almost the little again, cola candies. Those little bottle-shaped cola candies. More so than actual cola. Okay. There's a big slap of oak on this. Just slapping around the front of my mouth a lot, which is kind of nice. There's a sweet tea. It's like a sweet tea thing, sort of southern sweet tea. A little muddled mint in there too. Vanilla bean, some white pepper, and a little bit of a plantain note, like green plantain. Oh, okay. So the finish does hang, especially right at the beginning of the finish. It kind of disappears, but right at the beginning, there's a little bit of a cardboardy note, which might be some caramel colorant or something. I don't know what that is. It's cramping it a little bit. It's not too bad, but it is there. Some pound cake, kind of especially on the mid palate. Yeah, this is not bad at all. This is for $20, you're getting your money's worth out of this. Would be better at a stronger strength. Would be showing far better than it currently is. But um, I don't hate this. So score wise, I've been sort of going back and forth on these depending on it does. Um, uh, I like the way it acts on the palate a lot, especially on the finish, except for that cardboard note. But the kind of the some of the stuff going on in the aromatics has been knocking me back. So I've been swinging back and forth between like high 70s and low 80s. So I'm gonna just go right in the middle there. Let's call this an 80 plus. This is an 80 plus rum. Not bad, not really good either. Very serviceable. Um, this is a very solid option. You can, if you're stuck in Terre Haute or something, and this is all you can buy, it is a very good option. Okay, moving on to the Plantation, which is Xaymaca, special dry. Apparently, Xaymaca was the natives' word for the island. Um, let's see what we got here. So, the so what you gotta know. I mentioned already that this is entirely pot distillate. It's a blend of stuff from the Clarendon distillery and the Long Pond distillery. The marks are EMB and MLC, and what is that? Sorry. This fucking. Oh God, that's better. Okay. Long Pond, VRW, and STC up caret E. Now it's the MLC and the STC up caret E that are the interesting ones here because those are reasonably higher ester marks. We're not getting the stratosphere, but those are, higher than normal. So if they're going to this blend, that gives them some justification to be able to say, this is a very big funky monster with lots of hogo notes, and it's gonna, clear out your sinuses and all that. That was kind of the marketing message of this, and well, I will tell you what I think about that. All right, 43%. Not at all. Very floral. This is an extremely floral rum, not a funky rum. This is, yeah, this is not. I mean, frankly, the at times the Appleton here smells funkier than this thing. Plantation's own OFTD smells funkier to me than this thing does, actually, even though it's all pot distillate. Very floral on, there's a Turkish delight note. Tons of, I mean, if this had like a bunch of wildflowers, this is like a truckload. All the wildflowers. And like a boutique laundry detergent note. I will give you a warning on this, Xaymaca here. This had one of the roughest neck pours I have had in a long time. The neck pour on this tasted basically like laundry runoff. Which is not something I want in my rum. I thought I would truly hate this, and then it kind of improved as I got through the bottle. So just a warning: this is this is a little bit moody, and that comes with being a pot distillate, right? Certain like being having been distilled in a pot still does not mean it's heavy and funky and hogo and all that stuff. It just means it was distilled in a pot still. In this case, like there's no dunder going near this, or at least the majority of the stocks going into this. There's no cane vinegar going into this. There's no muck. Like this is, very cleanly for the most part very cleanly fermented. and very cleanly aged. I think that they're claiming that this is going into some ex-Cognac casks for secondary aging, as Plantation / Ferron do. But frankly, it's not bugging me too much. I am not excessively annoyed by the French oak in here. It's not really it's not getting out ahead of the flowers at all. This is all flowers, all floral, all day long. Secondary notes, a little fennel in there. A little like a pineapple, is there pineapple soda? Does pineapple soda, if it existed, this would be a note in this. More flowers, kind of that banana peel note that's also in this is here. Some old tea bags, a little kind of a little dustiness. I guess that's an oaky note maybe. And a little splash of brine, a little seawater after just a moment. And that's kind of all. There's some orange, like an orange candy note, maybe some guava. But that's about all we're getting on the nose. It does win on the nose versus the Appleton, I will say that. But you have to know, you have to realize that this is not a big funky pot still monster. This is even if it's pot distilled, what that has gotten you is a ton of flowers, not a ton of sort of fermenting fruit. On the palate, still very floral, but a little dirty too. There's a little kind of gross dirtiness, which isn't too bad. Like laundry runoff, but nice now. It was not nice when I first opened the bottle. Fennel, definitely fennel. A little white pepper. Tea leaves, Darjeeling leaves, some mixed olives, black and green. Just kind of but the muddy floral, like just muddy flowers, is the dominant note on the palate. Maybe a little banana. Again, but more banana peel, banana candy than actual banana fruit. Sort of vague. There's a kind of a pop rock thing going on. Do you remember pop rocks? Was that only my generation? Are they even still around? Not bad at all. On points, I think this takes it over the Appleton, but it is more expensive. It's also probably my favorite Plantation. This doesn't have the same glaring flaws that I see in the OFTD. And it does not have the dosage of most of the range. That being said, I haven't tried their big upper range single bottling, so the jury's out on those. Yeah, I would give this a solid 82 points. This is a good 82 point aged pot still, light style pot still rum. I mean, the problem with this is if you come in with the marketing message that they were spreading around, which is that this is a big heavy pot still monster, and it just isn't. That's not what this is. If you stop thinking of it as a pot still rum and start thinking of it as a $26 aged rum, then it starts to make more sense, because then you look at it and it's more expensive than the Appleton signature, but less expensive than, say, less expensive than less strong than Smith and Cross, but less expensive than Smith and Cross too, and something you can throw into a glass, into a tumbler, or throw into Mai Tai without too much of a problem. And I think it can make a good case for itself on that basis. So yeah, it's not a bad rum. It's just you got to know what you're getting into with this. And if I may talk about the name change for just a second. So, I mean, with both of these, I would love to see cask strength versions of them, stronger versions of them, but whatever. Appleton, are you watching? Like on the Reddit, I keep bugging you guys about this, and I hope maybe some of it's sinking in. I don't. You probably don't watch these. Whatever. Um, Plantation name change. What do I want to say about this? So, if it were me, if I were running it, I would double down on the French connection and just call it Rumparison. Just do it. I mean, that seems like the obvious choice. Get all the trademarks registered and just come out with the new designs. Take off the stupid straw, and I don't know why it's taken them this long to really say anything about it. Um, I will say I don't really want to congratulate the company or give the company a lot of kudos for the name change, but I do want to give the rum community in general a little bit of kudos for caring about this stuff, about caring about what it looks like when you have a bottle that says plantation sitting in your collection, when in North America in particular, where that other parts of the world is different, obviously, but in North America, that term carries some connotations, especially when it's from a European producer. So what do I mean when I say want to congratulate the give kudos to the rum community? It's basically this. Plantation is not making a deep moral choice or anything. They're a money making firm. Their job is to make money for themselves. They are not doing the right thing so much as they're just following where the math leads. Just to give you a parallel example, a couple of years ago there was an amusement park in Virginia called King's Dominion, which I went to as a kid. We used to grow up in Northern Virginia. We moved around a lot, but that was one of the places where we grew up. And we went to King's Dominion, just north of Richmond. They used to have a ride there called Rebel Yell, and just recently it was sort of dressed up with a lot of let's say Southern regalia. And just recently, 2 or 3 years ago, they changed the name to something really boring. It's like Racer X or something. It's not as good as Racer X. They could have gone with the Speed Racer connection, and they didn't. It's like Racer something. It's really anonymous. And the reason why they made that change is not because it was the morally right thing to do to sort of get away from the connection to the Confederacy and the legacy of white supremacy. I don't believe the folks running King's Dominion cared about that, nor as a money-making enterprise should they care about that. Really, it's up to the consumers and the stockholders to care and make their decisions accordingly. What they did effectively was, I imagine, a bit of market research. They looked around and they tried to figure out, okay, how many people are we losing by having a ride named Rebel Yell? How many families are looking at that and saying, maybe we don't want to take our kids to a place that has a big ride celebrating the frickin' rebellion against the legitimate United States government for the sake of enslaving, a portion of the population. Maybe we don't want to take our kids there. How many people are we losing with that name versus the number of people we would lose if we change the name? The crowd that would be like, oh my God, it's cancel culture. It's the social justice warriors. They've come for this harmless, amusement park ride, and they changed it. And I will never spend my money on King's Dominion ever again. How many people would you lose that way? And they looked, I imagine, at their audience, at their market. They noticed that Richmond, for example, I think Richmond is like plurality black folks now, and there's a lot of a lot of suburbs, a lot of educated suburbs there too. And they said, yeah, maybe they cranked the math and they said, you know, let's change the damn name and get some more people in. And you know, we will lose that crowd that cares about so-called cancel culture, but we're going to get these other folks in, and that's why the name change happened. And I think the same thing happened in the case of Plantation. You know, it's not. It was just they did a calculation of who the potential, their market and their potential market was. How many are they, you know, losing with, you know, the straw stuff and the name, versus how many would they lose with, you know, worries about cancel culture and social justice warriors, that crowd. And they realized that the rum community was constituted such that they would stand to be likely to make more money with a name change. And so I give credit to the rum community for, you know, being decent freaking human beings with a sense for history rather than Plantation themselves. And so, you know, I'm sure whatever name they come up with will be, you know, similarly forgettable. And I'm sure they will continue doing all the stuff they're already doing, which there's issues with, you know, Barbados and Jamaica, but never, you know, that's another discussion altogether. You will not, but as a footnote to that, I would add, many of you, I imagine, have been thinking, well, hey, there's another Rebel Yell out there, and it's not the Billy Idol Rebel Yell. It is a bourbon called Rebel Yell, and you will notice they have not changed their name. 2 or 3 years ago, they have not changed their name ever. They continue to not change their name. And I would like to think that now that they've been bought by MGP, right? Like we could see a name change. Maybe Yell, maybe just Yell, or, you know, following MGP, we'll call it Remus Yell. Maybe. But I imagine the reason why it remains at this moment Rebel Yell is they did some market research, and they did the same calculation. How many people would be pulled in by changing the name from Rebel Yell to something else, versus how many people would be, you know, in that crowd would be upset at this change of, you know, traditionalism or whatever. And they have decided up to this point to keep the name. And I honestly do think that bourbon drinkers, and I count myself in that crowd a lot of the time, should maybe, you know, have some inner reflection about that, about the fact that you know, maybe what the whiskey community and the bourbon community in particular are kind of like, in terms of their constitution versus the rum community. Anyways, just food for thought. So back to these two. Decent values. I think they're decent values. The main problem, these two really do have two problems. Two big problems. One bigger than the other, but the other is the one I'm going to use as a segue to my next videos. The big problem is this. Ray and Nephew Overproof. This will curb stomp both of these in terms of sheer quality and sheer strength. This is real good. This is the first video review I ever did on my channel. It's the most unprofessional, and it's the one that's gotten the most views. I don't really know why, but I think this is astonishing stuff. You can get it for, you know, $20 to $25. So in the middle price, in between price of these two, anywhere in the U.S., any store, any halfway decent store is going to have this, and that's astonishing. And it does cause a problem when you're these two. But I mean, you know, the audience could still say, well, but these two have to be better because they're, you know, darker, they're brown colored, they're aged, even if it's not for very long. And I really don't think the Plantation is aged significantly longer than the Appleton is. These are both pretty young. So clear, transparent spirits outside of the nerds who drink mezcal and like Clarendon are not fashionable right now. Which brings me to the other problem that these two have, which is I just lost so many people right now. Hit that unlike or dislike and unsubscribe button right now, because I think the other problem these two have is this: Wild Turkey 101 Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I was just dishing, complaining about bourbon a second ago, but here I am, saying again, priced in between these two, and just doesn't beat them as thoroughly as Ray and Nephew does, but I do think it's stronger and better. And it doesn't mean I'm, it's not me throwing all my support behind bourbon as a category. It just means I think this is a serious, contender in the marketplace. It's so serious, in fact, that if you will forgive me, I would like to do basically a week's worth of Wild Turkey stuff in the near future, because I think it deserves it. It gets some notice, but I don't think it gets as much notice as it is probably warranted, granted the quality it's bringing. All right, but that's next time. For these two, where am I left at? Both good rums, both good representations of Jamaica in different directions. Neither of these is serious funk monsters. You're gonna have to go to, Ray and Nephew, or even Hamden's Rum Fire for that would be better options. Even Smith and Cross would be a better option. But they're not bad. These are not bad rums at all. 80 plus and 82 points. And we'll leave it at that. And I hope this was educational. Sorry about the long rant about King's Dominion and name changes, but hopefully it wasn't too annoyingly ranty. All right, thanks so much. Bye-bye.